So geoengineering is refers to the large-scale, deliberate interventions in Earth's natural systems to counteract climate change that killed nearly or over 30 people at the time, and that was considered a big conspiracy theory. But later down the line, declassified documents showed that, of course, it was true.
For many years now, when people have mentioned chemtrails, I've always thought to myself, this isn't real. This is the same as who shot JFK. This is a conspiracy theory. If people not got anything better to be worried about than making stuff up, and I thought about that for many years, but over the last 2 or 3 years, I began to understand that lots of things I thought were true turned out not to be true. So I wanted to relook at this issue because I could just be doing the same thing I've been doing all my life. These things aren't happening. What's behind it? And we're all guilty of thinking that other people are stupid and that I'm more intelligent than them and I wouldn't fall for that. And I'm trying to get out of that habit. Hence why I put a call out, who should I be talking to? And someone said, you need to be talking to Lewis Brackpool, independent journalist, YouTuber. He knows about these things. So I invited you on the show. You graciously said yes. So let's get into this. What's going on? Am I an idiot for thinking these things? Is anything going on? Is it serious? Is it a conspiracy? I don't know where to start with. There's not many topics where I go, I don't know where to start because I know nothing. This is one of them.
Okay. Yeah. So firstly, thank you very much for having me on. Like I mentioned, there's lots to get into with this. And just as a context as well, I thought exactly the same. I think COVID was the big wake-up call for many, many people, including myself. And I have retraced steps and look back at things that I thought maybe I didn't believe, maybe I didn't, maybe I did, who knows. But let's first get into what it is. So what is, for everyone listening, what is chemtrails, quote unquote? Well, this definition actually aroused itself around sort of the mid 1990s, between 1996 and 1999, and it gained traction on popular internet forum sites when the internet was just barely getting to grips with what it was doing at the time. It was on big internet forums that focused mainly on things like UFOs, government secrecy, and environmental concerns and things like that. So that's where the name chemtrails came from. And it was kind of like a slang term, if you will. Now what we're hearing is the term geoengineering. So geoengineering refers to the large-scale, deliberate interventions in Earth's natural systems to counteract climate change. And there are two main types. One is called solar radiation management, which is the attempt to reflect a small portion of sunlight back into space to cool the Earth. And to do this are a few examples. One is called stratospheric aerosol injection, which is releasing reflective particles like sulfates into the upper atmosphere, very similar to recreating like a volcanic ash cloud, because after that, with the sulfur, it creates like a layer over the atmosphere that cools the planet. There's another thing called marine cloud brightening, which is spraying sea salt into clouds that makes them more reflective, and that can be done at ground level. And there are other wacky things like space-based reflectors, so big sort of mirrors or shields that you can put in orbit like a satellite. There's also another type called carbon dioxide removal, or CDR, which aims to pull CO2 out of the atmosphere and store it. You might hear a few things, especially within the net zero arena, things like direct air capture machines, enhanced weathering, so spreading minerals that absorb CO2, and bioenergy with carbon capture and storage. This is very mainstream stuff. Scientists have been talking about this. The BBC even ran a headline recently about it. even the Guardian posted something about stratospheric aerosol injection. So
Can I jump in there? Let me just jump. So, are these ideas being talked about, or are these ideas actually being implemented at the moment?
So both. It depends on where you look. We've always had a massive fascination with things like weather modification and climate intervention. I mean, we're Brits. We love to complain about the weather and all of that. So it's the perfect subject for us to, of course, talk about. The earliest or most infamous example of this is RAF Rainmakers. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's back in 1952. The RAF conducted experiments over Lynmouth in Devon, where they sprayed silver iodide over a series of tests, which led to a catastrophic flash flood that killed nearly over 30 people at the time, and that was considered a big conspiracy theory. But later down the line, declassified documents showed that, of course, it was true. The RAF were conducting research and experimentation over this with a thing called cloud seeding, which I'm sure you might have heard of. And so in Britain, we've been very interested in doing these things for decades and decades, since the early 40s or maybe even 50s. But it was very much a Ministry of Defense thing. It was very much military, kept under wraps, which has fueled the idea of it being a conspiracy. Now, it's still controversial. It's a massive controversial subject, obviously, because you'd have the mainstream media. If you use the term chemtrails, it gets stonewalled. People don't want to talk to you about it because you believe that it could be something to do with population reduction, quote unquote, or mind control. There was a famous, well, Prince, the artist Prince, who used to make lots of different types of music. He went on a chat show, a famous one in America, and made the claim that the trails in the sky were being purposely dropped on black neighborhoods to make them more angry or violent. Which obviously I don't believe that personally. That's my personal opinion, but it fueled a lot of hysteria. A lot of people were well, rightly confused and upset by all of this. But as time has gone on, you've started to see things like Dubai setting up a massive cloud seeding program that are looking to manipulate the weather in really dry places geographically. And America as well has a huge cloud seeding program or geoengineering program that you can easily track. Lots of journalists have tracked down areas where pilots have sprayed certain types of chemicals, whether it be sulfur, silver iodide, or other chemicals, barium, I believe, and aluminium over some areas. And it has been proven. To add to that, I ran a Freedom of Information request not too long ago. This was sort of earlier in the year or last year, late last year, asked the Met Office, Britain's weather forecast, if they are conducting geoengineering experiments in the UK and whether there's any funding. And it came back with a whole list of funding, which universities were funding, small kind of projects and computer-based projects, where they were simulating how it would look if you drop particles in certain areas. Now, to get the models, you need the real thing. So, of course, you can't go out and admit, well, we've been experimenting in this area. You have to do it via computer models because of ethics and, ethical safety. But the interesting thing was the funding. The Met Office received $200,000 from an NGO called Silver Lining, which has ties to the United Nations, to Congress, and they even presented programs and lots of different diagrams to show ways in which we could cool the planet or global warming in order to use all of these practices that I've listed in geoengineering. So the reason why I differentiate the term chemtrails and geoengineering is they're both the same. It's the same thing, but one carries a stigma, and one carries a sort of baggage behind it that you would see on, when you turn on like the TV back in the day on the late at night, and there was some dodgy history programs about UFOs and stuff like that. It would make its way onto that, and so it was easy to be discredited. But now it seems as though these practices have come a bit more mainstream over the years.